And not only that, if you would be honest, even though you may have did an excellent job, if you would be honest, you'll be the first to admit, I believe, that, you know what, if I had some help, the burden would have been a little bit lighter. If I had some help. I didn't say just having somebody in the house, but I say if I had some help. See, God understands that it was not meant for women to carry all the burdens by themselves. He understands that. And just because you may have carried the burden, and thanks be to God, you may have did a great job, that still doesn't change the fact that that is not what God intended. God did not intend for you to have that stress. God did not intend for you to go through all of that. And so, it should be God and the man. Women, if you're married, you should assist your mate to have a relationship with God. You should be in his corner, not nagging, not complaining. But y'all, come on, women, now y'all know how God give y'all that sixth sense, how you can get men to do things, and we so happy because we think we did it, we came up with it ourselves. Pray to God to give you wisdom. How, God, do I help this man develop a stronger relationship? Because, see, what you will find out that the stronger his relationship is with God, the better your relationship will be. And therefore, also, parents, if you have a male child, you should be starting early, helping that child develop a relationship with God. And also, when it comes to a threefold cord, someone asked me on an occasion, is love enough? Because they were saying how you can have a marriage, but then, you still have all these different issues and different things come up. And at the time that it came to me, I wasn't really prepared for the question. But I warn you, I don't have time to go deep into this morning, but let me give you just some principles. See, when we talk about a threefold cord, you got to understand we are body, spirit, and soul. So therefore, for a marriage to be whole, the man and the woman should minister to each other in each one of these areas. You should be in the soul. If you're doing something to help build or feed the other's individual intellect, you will find that would help. That's why you don't have nothing to say. You should be doing something to help build, to help discipline each other's emotions, feelings, soulish. We are body. You should do things physically. Spending time together. Let me tell you, it doesn't make a couple more spiritual because you in church 7 days a week. You got to spend some time outside of the church. You got to go places. You got to do things. We do a good job sometimes ministering spiritually, but we leave out all the other different departments of this marriage. And I'm not going to go deep into that this morning, but I want you to, the principle that I want you to get this morning is don't deny that you are body, spirit, and soul. And see, what are we doing to build up each one of these areas? Not only that, when it comes to marriage, a threefold cord, it is to be based upon love, communication, and determination. Love, communication, and determination. And when you leave out one of these areas, you're going to find yourself having problems. And that communications is broad because, see, it takes communications to learn how to communicate your love. Communication, it takes, your maturity to learn how to communicate forgiveness. So don't just take that lightly. And I want to take the time this morning to go over this because when I look at, once again, what is going on in our community and our society as a whole, as a minister of the gospel, it troubles me. Because, see, I believe the church will be only as strong as the family. Because before God instituted anything, he first started with the family. If you want to look at a growing, live church that has stability, they have strong families. If you look at a church that has a fragment of families, you have a lot of instability. And so therefore, I think the church, in order for us to mature the church and have the church to grow and do what God desires, we need to start putting focus back on the family. And once again, as I said before, some of you that want to discount it and dismiss it and say that, well, that's not really for me because I'm not planning on getting married, or I no longer want to be married, but marriage affects you. If we could strengthen some marriages, we would have less grandparents raising children. So when you think that this message don't affect you, you need to think outside of yourself. Not only that, when you see those young men that's hanging out on the corner on your street and you kind of afraid to go at home at night, then you understand that the family is important, because some of those individuals, I'm not saying all, but some of those individuals, if the family life had been strengthened and they had received some of the things that they needed, they wouldn't be out on the corner. So when you begin to think that this message don't have no relevance in my life, it's because you're just thinking about your little world. But I guarantee you it affects you. If you would turn with me to Ephesians verse 32. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 32. As we get ready to close, because I see some of you now, you done drifted off. Do y'all need to get up and do calisthenics? Let me tell you a verse you hear me read a lot, and I think it is so important when it comes to any relationship. If we will follow these principles in verse 32, that will strengthen a lot of relationships, whether it's marriage, whether it's parents and children, whether it's friends or whatever. It says, be ye kind one to another. Be ye kind one to another. Do you realize how easy you would make, or how easier a pastor's job would be if people would just learn to be kind? Do you realize how many homes would be better if they just learned how to be kind? It said, be ye kind one to another. And it say how the other person is treating you. But you should make up in your mind, I'm going to be kind. Well, you don't understand. They ain't getting over on me. I want them to know. I like them knowing that I'm a person that will tear you off and get you straight. I don't mind them knowing that. I want them to know it. Okay? Stay that way. And be by yourself that way. It said, be ye kind one to another. Also be tender-hearted, not hard-hearted. We need more people that are tender-hearted, more people that are compassionate towards other people. know how to put their self in somebody else's place sometimes. Well, they just got what they deserve. Well, what if you got what you deserve? Well, if they had a little better, it would have never happened to them. Well, what happens when you found yourself on the Jericho road? Huh? What happens to you when you find out you have failed amongst thieves? What happens to you? See, it's easy for us to make excuses when we find ourselves in a certain situation and in a certain circumstance. But what happens when it happens to you? It's just like today. We're talking about marriage. It's not for nobody to be puffed up. Because it's like I tell you all the time, I can love Barbara all I want, but if she decides today when we go out of this church, I'm leaving, what am I going to do? So if I realize that I can't act like I'm superior to somebody that has went through a divorce, or I'm superior to somebody that's separated. Look, it takes more than just you. Tenderhearted. See, sometimes just because we don't find ourselves in a certain situation, it's easy for us to be hard on somebody else that find themselves in that situation. But I got news for you. Everybody in here got an issue. Your issue may not be my issue. Your problem may not be my problem. But I guarantee you that if I sit down and talk to somebody that's close to you, if I sit down and talk to somebody, they will tell me that you got an issue that you don't want nobody to know about. You got an issue. But sometimes we want to cover up our issues. And when we do that by highlighting other people's issues, sometimes we want to cover up our issue. And we do that by making ourselves seem like we're better than somebody that's not going through what we're going through. But I got news for you in here. Somebody know your issues. And if you keep highlighting somebody else's issue, that issue that you think is covered up that nobody else know about. Somebody just might bring it out, so you might need to learn how to be a little tenderhearted. You might learn how to say that I'm a little understanding to other people. But it says, be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving. Did it say that? Did it say that? Forgiving one another. Forgiving one another. And we can do that because it says, even as God, for Christ's sake, have forgiven you. So we understand that if God can forgive me, when God can look down and see my filthy, nasty, stinking, corrupt, corroded, perverted self and forgive me, then shouldn't I be able to do the same? Hallelujah. This morning, I encourage you that regardless of where you find yourself, you should be determined that I'm going to work on me and I'm going to do what I can to support a relationship. Because in closing, let me share this with you. Because see, sometimes it's easy to look at other people's marriages and other people and you say, well, that's easy. It's easy for you to say that because, see, you're not married to who I'm married to. But let me tell you something. You're right about that. But you're not married to who I'm married to. And every couple has problems. The problems is not really the problem. But how do you deal with that problem? See, you may look at me and say, yeah, see, if my husband would like you. But see, that's because you only see one side of the coin. If you was to sit down and talk to Barbara, she might could show you a side that you don't see. And you might say, you might have to back up. Because through the years, and I'm sure any that's in here that has been married a while will tell you, you spend a lot of times fighting the problem instead of trying to solve the problem. And that's why you don't get anywhere. But as a couple, when you realize that it is really not the problem, but what do we do about it? How do we solve it? How do we work through it? Not only as a couple, when you sit down and you honestly look at each other and say, okay, we got this problem. How did it come about? And being honest. Because see, every problem that came in our life haven't been Barbara's problem. Every issue that we have went through in marriage hasn't been just Barbara. But sometimes I had to look in the mirror and say, look at me. What did I do to create this problem? See, and until you are willing to look honestly at yourself, you're going to continue to go through the same issues and go through the same problems. And this is not just husband and wife, but this is in any relationship. You got to be honest with yourself and say, what did I do that helped cause this problem? See, you can just say that man just walked out, or that woman just walked out, or those children just left, or the parents just don't understand, or they just don't want to be my friend. But it's another thing when you take an honest look and say, did I have a hand in this? What part did I play in this? Let us stand this morning. Hallelujah. And by the way, since we are on this, let's give, and I'm not saying it just because they're here,